Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Disgruntled Yid show. And I'm your host, Moshe, the Disgruntled Yid, and I am most definitely disgruntled about several things. So there's a lot to talk about. There's so much to cover. So let me just start out by saying that this is going to be a very heavy video, and it will include, but will not be limited to, discussions of essay, CA, child, um, discussions of racism, bigotry, conspiracy theories, all those things will be talked about in this video. It's going to be a really spicy one. So if you're a person that has any kind of trauma or any sort of emotional issue, or if you've been a victim of SA or of any other sort of abuse, really think before you watch this video. Make sure you're in a good place mentally and emotionally, that this isn't gonna open wounds for you. As a fellow, person that went through it myself, I can definitely sympathize. So, if that's gonna be too much for you, this is the point. This is the point to shut the video off right now. I'll give you guys a few moments to switch off, so I'm gonna go check my tub. Alright, I apologize, I may have to go do that once again. Anyway, but I really wanted to get into this video, and I got a lot of other things I have that I want to get to this evening, and so I'm doing laundry and whatnot, so I wanted to jump right in and get through this, or we'll get started, at least. So, anyway, with no further ado, so I'm sure everybody is, well, you know what, given that I said this is going to be a very heavy video, let me at least soften the blow with something cute, okay? I have two toys, my cat has two toys. This is if you know Star Trek, this is a Tribble, but this is like a Tribble from the Dark Universe, so it's an evil Tribble. And then this is just a cute, fluffy little pig. And this is mine, and I gave it to him, to my cat. His name is Muffin. Excuse me, I have a little post-nasal sinus issues. Anyway, but the funny thing about these two toys is they're perfect mirrors of his personality. And sometimes he'll be so cute, and he'll just come up and he'll just do his little thing, and he'll just flop down on you, and he does this cute little thing like this, and then and he tucks his other one under his thing, and he'll just look up at you. It's so cute, and you'll just pat him, and he's just so adorable. But then he'll flip around like a sidewinder, and suddenly just jump into your arm and lock around it, and they're get off, and he's all, it's so funny, because these toys are a perfect representation of him. We're talking about you. Yeah, you want to say hi? Come say hi real quick. Yeah, we're talking about you. Whoa! See what I mean? Whoa, he's spicy. All right. He's in a very playful mood, that's why. Hey, you want your piggy? Go get your piggy. Go Or are you having trouble? Alright. Anyway. Alright, now to get into the actual main topic of the video. So, we all know about the... You know what? Before we start, let me just check my tab one more time. Okay, guys, I'm sorry about that. But anyway, so now I'm sure at this point we've all heard, I mean, it's impossible to have not heard about the Jeffrey Epstein files that have been released and all the crazy storm of madness surrounding it that it's kicked up the dust. So this is a very long and complex topic. So let's at least just start out with the very bare minimum. What are we talking about? So I'm not an expert. I've only read a few articles. My knowledge of this is as superficial as the next person. So that's what my judgment is going to be based on. And so obviously my ideas, my attitude, and thoughts may evolve over time with new information. But this is all based on the little bit that I've picked up so far and my opinion as of right now. And again, this is all opinion. I'm not saying any of this is fact. This is all from my point of view, from the way I see it. So, from what I've read, it looks like what the basic idea of what happened is Jeffrey Epstein had a series of private islands where he would take underage girls to, and he would abuse them, and often he would get his clientele to come and participate in this. Now, one of the things that's a big misconception about this whole thing is and I read this article in The Atlantic from a woman who's widely regarded as an expert on this and who herself has personally interviewed many of the victims of in this case. So this is not just some rando, YouTube journalist from the middle of nowhere in his mom's basement or whatever, J-O-ing to his Nazi propaganda, like, yes, we can finally blame the Jews again, which I'm going to talk about that, by the way. So, sorry, be right back. Okay, good. Now that's done. Okay. So, and I guess what happened was over the years, there were over 200 girls who were brought to the island and were, violated and mistreated, I don't want to say the actual word, so, but yeah, you know what I mean. So, because YouTube is, really, heavy now on censorship and everything, so, I gotta really be careful with the way I phrase things. Yeah, and now the thing is, from this article, she mentioned that one of the misconceptions that people seem to have is they seem to think that Jeffrey Epstein had a special secret black book filled with all the names of his clients, hidden away, secretly, and that he used as dirt on them, you better do this for me, or, you better do this for my friends, or whatever, or I'll get this dirt on you. Which I know if there's any conspiracy theorists, especially Jew-hating conspiracy theorists here, that right now they're listening to this and they're going. But sorry to kill your boners, gentlemen. But or rather, I believe in equality, so sorry to kill your boners, gentlemen, or sorry to dry up your clam, ladies. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not how it works. Turns out, the way it works is he had a list of his clientele, but he also had a list of all his employees as well. So on this list, sure, we're rich and powerful people who were part of it, and some of these people, a lot of these people, very much so, are very likely uh, very, very likely complicit, it looks like at this point, in some of these crimes and their cover-ups. So I'm not excusing that. I'm not saying all these rich and powerful people, they're all innocent, they didn't do anything wrong. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. That is most definitely not what I am saying. So keep listening. Right. So this list was really just a file of people that anybody would keep. Like anybody who's anybody. You have your guy that you go to for your suits. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to Donnie. And down on Crenshaw, whatever. Or it's such a 1950s sounding thing. I wanna my son's getting married. I'm gonna go to my friend Leo because his son-in-law is a party planner and he's really good. So whatever, right? And you would have a list of this, or I have like if you own a home, right? Like my gardener, or my roofing guy, whatever, right? So far from being some secretive, mysterious blacklist or black book hidden away secretly in a file somewhere, it was really just a list of people that included powerful, famous, well-known people, but it also included people as mundane as his gardener and his maid. So, now, that doesn't mean that any of the people, these powerful people, or at least let's say, it doesn't mean all of these powerful people on this list are now they're innocent, they were just friends of his on a list. No. So, as it's still coming out, lots of information, and it's really hard to form a really hard and fast opinion on something, especially that's still coming out, that's so new, and more news is evolving by the day. But let me at least, I want to share some thoughts, Now, I don't know which of these people it's going to turn out, these famous people it's going to turn out are bad, are evil, and we're doing evil stuff, and we're part of this whole thing. Now, what is very clear is that Jeffrey Epstein did, and this has been established as fact so far. This little part is not my opinion. This is the facts as they've come out so far. Jeffrey Epstein, rich and powerful man, owned several islands in which he did engage not only in the SA of underage girls, but also catered to his clientele, many of which also engaged in this despicable behavior, in this evil, subhuman, monstrous behavior. And there were at least 200 girls who, not all of them were underage, many of them were, But you have to realize, even the ones that were not underage, that doesn't mean that they weren't still trafficked. I mean, these are still girls that were trafficked illegally, and were, essayed, and raped. You know, it's not like oh, it's only the underage girls that suffered. Like, it's not like people might think of it like, oh, the underage girls, they were like the slaves, they were like the underlings who were like, they really suffered. But then the overage girls were just regular prostitutes who probably would just walk around naked, serving cocktails or whatever. No, those, even the girls who were overage were also victims of trafficking, and were also raped and abused and humiliated and denigrated and mistreated horribly. So they're just as much victims as the underage ones. Now, the reason the underage ones is getting the brunt of the focus, obviously, is because we have so much, and rightfully so, righteous anger anytime it comes to the harming of children. Um, I mean, and you guys know me personally. I always say, in my mind, anyway, those were the facts so far. Now we're getting back into my opinion. Now you guys know, in my philosophy, the way I view things, I rank nobody lower on the hierarchy of, I don't know, whatever, I guess, morality, or like people I would respect, right? I don't have anyone lower on that hierarchy than, and I always say this, people who harm, or even if you don't, but harm, but you are affiliated with, and you encourage, or you somehow supply, or cover, or support the harm, and that is of children and animals. If you, and I say this particular statement, I say it all the time. If you are the kind of person who thinks it's like, it doesn't bother your psyche, like it doesn't even like a moment like make you feel guilty of harming like an animal or a child, like, you're, at that point, you're basically a subhuman. Now, see, here's the thing. Even though I do view people like that, so now we're going to get into talking about PDF files. Even though I do view those people as subhumans, and I hate them, uh, I've had my own experiences, which we're not going to get into, because that's kind of, I mean, I'm stating it only to say that that's why I feel so strongly about some of these things. I'm not trying to say I'm an authority, or that I represent anybody. No, I'm only speaking for myself alone, and I bring up that I have a past with SA, my own experiences, just to say that that's why I feel so strongly as I do about some of the issues we're getting into right now. Now, I also always say that all people, and this is one of the big things that Judaism brought, and that the Torah brought to the world, is the concept that all people, regardless of who they are, their skin color, their sexual orientation, their socioeconomic, political class, whatever, it doesn't matter, their physical or mental ability, or lack thereof, whatever, doesn't matter. All people are made in the image of God, and therefore automatically are deserving of a certain amount of respect, and to be treated with a certain amount of dignity, regardless of who they are. Now, I maintain that, and that is absolutely true. Now, how do I reconcile that concept with saying that I view PDF files and the people that help them and facilitate what they do, and support them and back them and cover for them? How do I reconcile calling those people subhumans when I just said that all human beings, regardless, have the right to be treated with dignity because of their B'Tselem Elohim, they were made in the image of God. Well, here's how that works. Because I don't advocate for cruel or unusual punishment for them. They are evil. They are literally evil incarnate. You have to understand, these are not normal people we're talking about. The people that would do these kind of things, they're not like you and me. That's the thing. They hide amongst us. Like they're wolves in sheep's clothing, so they hide amongst us. But realize that they are not you and me. They are very different from you and I. And that is very important. That is of the utmost importance to understand that yes, they can be hiding in plain sight, they can be anywhere, but realize that that does not mean that anybody could be them. Like somebody who's not one of them could become one of them. Don't think that's not how it works. Yes, they're very good at hiding, but they are who they are because there's something wrong with their brain. Their brains are literally broken. The fact that they have those kind of feelings for children is not natural. It's not normal by any societal. Even if you want to talk about cultures where they have child brides like in the Middle East, which I think is disgusting and PDF file like. Personally myself, I find it horrendous. But even in those societies, and again, if you have any sort of history with this stuff, really, definitely please tune out right now. Because this is where it's going to get really intense. Okay, you've been warned. When it comes to harming the very, very young, so infants, for example, all societies agree that would be wrong. Everybody agrees. It's a universal human thing. There's no human society. Yeah, okay, maybe you can find me some weird, barbaric, tribe living in, the caves of some island we've never heard of who do it. Okay, fine. But the 99%, the civilized human world, places where there's laws and morality and society and culture and human, flourishing, it's anathema. I think I pronounced that right. It's anathema to them, not in their laws. I'm not talking about legally, and I'm not even talking about morally. It's not that they would view the SA and raping and harming in that fashion, certainly physically harming, but as well as harming in that fashion of very young children, toddlers and infants. It's not that it's not in their laws. It's not a legal issue. It's not in their laws because it is in their laws, but I'm saying it's not part of their laws because of a legal reason. Okay? It's not part of their law, and it's not so abhorred by all human societies because it's immoral, because it's evil, because it's so horrendous and despicable, and it causes so much harm. It's not a moral issue. Yes, it is immoral and evil, and yes, it is illegal, but that's not the main way we need to tackle this issue. The issue is that it's a psychological thing. Going back to what I said before, these people that do this thing, PDF files, and then the people that support and help them, their brains are broken. They don't think like normal human beings. they really are like, they really are predators in that sense. And it's not even something they chose. They didn't wake up one day and just decide to become this, become PDF files. They didn't wake up and just one day go, I think I'll be a monster today, and or I think from now on I'll be a fucking dirtbag. No, it's something in their brains, and it it either develops over time with some of them, or sometimes it's like a switch, something they see, or somebody says something or whatever, they have some sort of encounter and it goes on like a switch, and then it's like, then they can't turn it back off. That's the thing. And it's in their brain. See, we often misuse the term for PDF files, and I am going to use it at this point in the medical sense, because I think what people fail to understand, not everybody that abuses children and gets called a PDF file should be called that, because a PDF file is not just all people that abuse kids. PDF file specifically in the medical diagnosable, it's a medical diagnosable disease in the DSM 4 and 5 and 6, I don't know, whatever the numbers are. It's in the DSM. It's in the Diagnostic and Statistics Manual, which is basically the, for lack of a better term, the Bible of modern day mental health. It's actually a mental disorder in their brains. They didn't choose to be that way. You need to understand that. Pedophilia, and I'm using the medical DSM term, is a disease. It's a mental disease in their brains, where they confuse what's normal, what's the normal, healthy, good, healthy, natural, human urge of feelings of sexual lust and desire for, whatever your orientation is. If you're into guys, and if you're a guy, then other, if you're gay, then to other guys, or if you're straight, to women, or like me, if you're bi, to men and women. But that applies to men and women who are, and this is very, very important to keep in mind for the rest of our discussion, men and women who are post-pubescent, okay? Post-pubescent, meaning over puberty, meaning they've gone through the physical changes of puberty from child through those awkward years of adolescence into adulthood, and they are now adults. So hormonally, physically, maybe maturity, they need to mature, but mentally, they are now physically adults. They have body hair, in places they didn't always. They have acne. They have their hormones have been regulated. They have, if they're guys, they'll have, well, girls, some girls too, but if they're guys, they'll have facial hair, and their voices will be deepened, even women who have lighter voices than men will still, there'll be a difference from like a little, like, hi, my name is Cynthia, to like, hi, I'm Jessica, how you doing? You see? Or if it's a little boy, like, hi, I'm little Billy, to like, hi, my name is Mark, what's going on? And so that's the point, is that's post-pubescent. So people who are now adults, physically and hormonally and psychologically, are now adults. That is the key difference. People that suffer from pedophilic disorder confuse that normal, natural, clean, beautiful feeling of lust, which is a gift. Our sexual feelings are good. They're in Judaism, we don't teach that sexuality is a dirty, evil thing. Sexuality is a good thing. It's a beautiful thing if it's used properly in the way God intends it. In other words, not to hurt other people, or not as a weapon, or not as a way to manipulate or blackmail, or to do something else, to use it to denigrate people, or no, when it's used, in love between people who want to, and they get together, they want to live their lives together. Maybe they want to have a family, and they want to have kids, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a gift, and it's a natural, healthy thing that Hashem has given us. But the problem with PDF files is that they confuse that desire, and then they transfer it. Some of them it's exclusive to prepubescent children, or I want to be more particular, because I really want to nail down the biology and aspect of this. Prepubescent human beings, as opposed to post-pubescent, meaning adult human beings. So it's a very sharp line down the middle. Post-pubescent humans, or prepubescent humans, and post-pubescent humans, okay? And I say human and not adult because I want to make it sound as clinical, and for lack of a better way of saying this, scientific as possible, because I want it to be really understood what I'm getting at. So they confuse that lustful feeling, which is a good, clean, beautiful thing. It's a gift from God. It's a gift from Hashem. And they misdirect it towards prepubescent human beings. Now, the issue with this, obviously, is that prepubescent human beings are not I gotta be careful. I don't know all the rules, so I want to really be careful. Smexual. Let's say schmexual. Okay? Prepubescent humans are not schmexual. They're not. It's literally in the psychology, in their biology, in the way human beings are. Prepubescent humans are not schmexual. They're not. Completely. They don't even have schmexual feelings. Now, I know what you're thinking. What are you talking about? Like a little 10-year-old, boy sees a little girl and he doesn't sort of kind of feel any kind of feelings towards her. Don't they have the physical feelings of, for example, people when they come out, when people come out, they usually say they knew on a certain level, even if it wasn't 100% clear to them, that they were gay or bi. They usually say, I knew from when I was a little boy or a little girl. Now, okay, so based on that, we know, and based on if you just talk to people, we know that prepubescent humans seem to have schmexual feelings. They seem to, because they express that interest, right? And they have what would appear at first glance to be feelings of schmexual desire on some level, right? I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty here, but you know what I'm talking about, right? So that's kind of confusing, right? So what is how do we untangle this web? Okay, so it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's actually quite simple. Those feelings that they have are not schmexual. They're just hormonal. They're just hormonal feelings. They're just their body's natural hormonal responses. Now, what do you mean? Isn't that what schmexual feelings are, hormonal responses? No, because contrary to popular conception, the most powerful sexual organ, and I can say sexual now because I'm talking about adults, the most powerful sexual organ is not down there. It's actually between your ears and behind your eyes. That's right. Right here, this is your primary sexual organ. Because, to begin with, the brain is the main powerhouse of everything, of the whole nervous system and the whole shebang, right? Many, in Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah, many rabbis even say that if you could say that there's a part of the body where the soul resides, because it's not a physical thing, but to say where it resides, many say it's in the head, in the brain. And based on the book I read recently that I talked about, we now know that consciousness, it's been scientifically proven, based on, as far as I'm concerned, that consciousness does continue after death. So, but the thing is, with when it comes to our sexual feelings, is that it's a in puberty we have a uniting of the brain's thought, psychological processes with our hormones. Now most people already kind of know what they're going to wind up as. Like they say, like I know, like people when they come out, like again, I knew I kind of liked both from a young age. And, even myself personally, if I'm being honest, yeah, I kind of actually always knew I was bi deep down. Because I remember even when I was a little boy, I kind of had, for lack of a better way of putting it, little crushes on other little boys and other little girls. I didn't really understand it at the time, and I did. And then once I started getting in to adolescence and hit puberty, it's interesting because actually at first I didn't notice guys like that at all. At first. It actually wasn't until a few years in, till I was around about 14 years old, is actually the age where I really started realizing that, I primarily like girls, but there are also like other guys, like in my class, like in my high school and stuff, other guys that I was around, I was definitely attracted to them. But even when I was very, very young, if I can remember, even when I was 10 years old, I remember from back then in my head, I remember even back then, like thinking, like, I couldn't really explain what it was at the time. It was just something about girls I liked looking at girls, like pretty girls. And I also really liked looking at pretty guys, or pretty boys, I should say. Boys, not, God forbid, to imply in the prepubescent human form of boys, rather more specifically, I'm talking about adolescence and beyond. Once, the normal processes of puberty have started. And now, in that process of puberty, yes, it is a little bit of a gray area. From where do they go from prepubescent human to post-pubescent human? Like, where does that process, where's the line? Well, the truth is there is no clear line and everybody is different. And so that's kind of, how it goes. Generally speaking, girls tend to develop earlier than boys. Like, as they always say, girls mature faster than boys. Generally speaking, that's the case. But it's really different for every individual. Because like for example, there's stories about people that were living on the streets or were kicked out of their homes, particularly gay, and bi kids, trans kids too, who had homophobic or transphobic families that kicked them out. And there's stories of let's say 17-year-olds, right, who were on the street and just to get by, or if they got addicted to drugs, or maybe just to survive or whatever it is, had to do, schmexual favors for adults. Now there's many of these 17-year-olds that they went through that, and although yes, it was painful and traumatic, they don't view it as if they were abused as minors by adults. Even though that is, on the legal definition, that is indeed what's happened, what has taken place in that scenario, a lot of them don't think of themselves as the victims of that particular type of abuse. They may see themselves as the victims of trafficking, and they may see themselves as the victims of just general having to be homeless and being, prostitutes. But they don't necessarily see themselves as being child SSA victims. Now many of them do, though. See, that's the thing. Personally, when and I'm not going to get into details, but when I went through what I went through, it started around when I was 14, 15, and it sort of went through that, but it continued into when I was 17. And even though I was 17 years old and I was so close to being 18, I still felt like I still felt like a child in that sense, and I still didn't feel powerful enough to really put my foot down and firmly, use my voice and say stop. I just didn't feel like I was capable of that. I felt too much like a child who was having power held over him that he really could do little about at the moment, in that moment, or in those moments. And so in that sense, it was child essay, because I did not feel that I had enough agency to stand up and defend myself. Wow, this is really getting into a lot of shit. But shake it off. I don't want to think about that. Anyway, but so everybody is different in that sense, okay? Now, the thing is with these people is that because they're psychologically broken like that, they can't just choose to just stop it and just shut it off. Now, see, that's not an excuse. No, because many people, particularly homophobic people, want to say, oh, but what about you have these PDF files, these people nowadays who want to say, oh, we're part of the LGBT community, which, no, you're fucking not, okay? But these people, we're part of it too, and we're called MAPS, which means minor attracted persons. We're MAPS. We're MAPS. We're part of the LGBT community. No, you're fucking not. Your PDF files, you're fucking dirtbags, you're scum, you're subhuman, and go fuck yourselves. You have nothing to do. Okay? I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't see you there. He's so dark. He blends in so well. I was on it kicking him. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing laundry, that's why it's so dirty. I'm sorry, buddy. I love you. PDF files and these map people, okay, they have nothing to do with this flag. This flag